Today, we will learn how astronomy first appeared. We will also make a tour of the solar system planets and see how people study space. During this trip, many famous scientists and experts will tell you useful and unusual things.
Hello, Professor Telescope speaking, Chief of the Astronomy Department. I will tell you how astronomy originated and how knowledge of the universe changed with time. Astronomy is one of the most ancient sciences, whose history goes back to the Stone Age. It studies the motion, structure, origin, and development of celestial bodies and their systems. At first, people thought the Earth was a flat surface, covered with a blue sky, with stars scattered on it. In the 16th century, Ptolemy's theory was replaced by that of Copernicus. According to him, it was the Sun, rather than the Earth, which was the stationary center of the universe. Such a system is referred to as geocentric.
I am switching on the knowledge check-in program. I am establishing communication with the Space Research Laboratory. The Russian scientist Konstantin Tsiolkovsky calculated the parameters required for orbiting a rocket and was the first to calculate the escape speed from Earth's gravity. Tsiolkovsky was the first to formulate the idea of creating circumterrestrial stations.
The space era was heralded by the launching of the first artificial satellite from the Soviet Union in October 1957. The diameter of this satellite was only half a meter, but its call sign was heard worldwide.
On the 12th of April 1961, the Soviet Union opened yet another page in the history of space conquest, in which the Vostok 1, piloted by the Russian astronaut Yuri Gagarin, was launched. Since 1961, more than 400 astronauts have traveled in space.
The next step in the conquest of space was the construction of orbital stations.
The Mir station operated in space for about 15 years, and during this time it was visited by more than 100 astronauts from 12 countries.
In November 1998, the first modules of the International Space Station were orbited. The station has been constantly rebuilt and developed since then.
Participating in the creation of the station are Russia, the USA, Canada, Japan, Brazil, and European Union countries. As of today, the station has been visited by more than 70 people.
The delivery of cargo and astronauts to space would have been impossible without carrier rockets. Those which are most often used are expendable multi-stage rockets.
The best-known representatives of this family are the Soyuz and Proton carrier rockets, which have been used extensively until the present time.
And would now ask the crew to answer the questions of the quiz. Your time is up. I am starting to process the results. The Moon is 4 times smaller and 81 times lighter than our planet.
On the 13th of September 1959, the unmanned Soviet spacecraft Luna 2 was the first to reach the Moon and to become its satellite. In the following 3 years, within the framework of the Apollo project, the American astronauts made 5 more landings on the Moon, spending in all more than 12 days on its surface.
To continue the research, in 1970, the Soviet Union sent the Lunokhod automatic survey module to the moon.
The moon rovers covered tens of kilometers.
The first plans for moon exploration and the construction of lunar bases were devised a long time ago.
The solution to the problem of providing fuel for manned bases may be solved by producing the unique gas, helium-3, on the moon.
And would now ask the crew to answer the questions of the quiz.
The first spacecraft was sent to Mars as early as the beginning of the 60s.
In the 90s, after an interval which lasted many years, the interests of scientists were drawn to the red planet once again.
In the 20th century, the main task was to search for life on Mars, and later in the 21st century to determine the availability of resources on the red planet, which would be required for the construction of manned bases. In January 2004, 2 American Mars rovers made a successful landing. Each vehicle is fitted with a drill, cameras, microscopes, and other research instruments. The task of the Mars rovers is to find water, which is essential for the origin and existence of life.
In the 70s, the Pioneer series spacecraft were launched to research Jupiter and Saturn.
After completing the main mission, the vehicles, for the first time in the history of Earth, exceeded the solar escape velocity and went beyond the galaxy.
In October 1997, the American spacecraft Cassini was launched to explore Saturn and its satellite Titan. The Cassini station has become the first artificial satellite of Saturn. Comets look like white-hot balls, followed with a tail, sometimes reaching several million kilometers in length.
The comet shell consists primarily of ordinary ice and dust particles.
Please remain in your seats.
Now let's check your knowledge. Get ready, as there will be some difficult questions.
Your time is up. I am starting to process the results.
The Transforce ship has completed its voyage.